Hello, America. Okay, so we finally received the details of the MOU, and Trump decided to sign it in France randomly in the middle of dinner. So we're going to see Trump's posture on this MOU, and we're going to say what it means and go into it very in depth. I'm Cameron Rudat. This is Average American. Now, this MOU is a memorandum of understanding. That's what it is. It's not a set in stone deal. It gives Iran 60 days to do the task that we're going to go through, which is open the strait. It includes a ceasefire, and Iran has 60 days to open up the strait. It was brokered by Pakistan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt. Immediate and permanent end to military operations on all fronts, including Lebanon, with both sides agreeing not to initiate war or use force against each other going forward. The U.S. will lift its naval blockade on Iranian ports with full removal within 30 days of signing. The Strait of Hormuz will reopen for commercial traffic. Iran will use best efforts for safe free passage of commercial vessels through the Persian Gulf and the Sea of Oman for the next 60 days. Now, I find, quote, best efforts interesting. It's basically like saying, Iran, try your best. I don't think that's the posture that we should have with a foreign nation. Iran will begin exporting oil immediately upon signing. U.S. will work with regional partners on a $300 billion reconstruction fund for Iran, and the details of that is supposed to be worked out. Work with regional partners, as in the Gulf states surrounding Iran. I guess so. I guess that is what Trump is expecting them to do after Iran has been attacking them. Doesn't really make sense. The U.S. will make available roughly $100 billion in frozen restricted Iranian assets though release is contingent on Iranian compliance within the next 60 days. That is what I was talking about the other day, where I mentioned that they keep saying that Obama sent money on planes over to Iran when that's just inherently true. But here's the catch. That money was us paying them back in their frozen assets that we had here. Them the money that they had in frozen assets back. So that's why the Republican rhetoric is Obama just sent planes with pallets of cash over there. So America is either going to have to let go of our sanctions on the nation, or we'll have to send $100 billion on pallets of cash over there. And I wonder what the Republicans would say then. Would they be okay with $100 billion of cash going on a plane to Iran when they've spent the last, decade crapping on Obama for doing that? And it wasn't even our money, it was Iran's money and frozen assets. If a final deal is reached, the US would terminate all sanctions against Iran. So that kind of follows up with the previous point here. Will we be sending $100 billion in frozen restricted Iranian assets before we terminate our sanctions? Or are we going to terminate our sanctions, allow them to get their money, then put sanctions back for this 60-day period? Iran affirms it will not procure or develop nuclear weapons. Both sides agreed to resolve the disposition of Iranian stockpiled enriched material. So one of the four pillars that Trump said we were waging this war on Iran was because they were enriching their uranium, but they weren't using it to build nukes. And this memorandum of understanding doesn't really solve the alleged nuke issue. It just said, it's basically saying that, in the future, we'll resolve that issue. That's basically it. So the U.S. is giving up striking them. The U.S. is giving up our sanctions. The U.S. could potentially be paying $300 billion in a reconstruction fund, because I highly doubt Iran's surrounding nations will pay. So we're basically telling these surrounding nations, you got to pay $300 billion. I don't see that happening. I don't. So we're giving up our naval blockade on the end of the Strait of Hormuz. We're relieving sanctions. We're pushing nuclear agreements forward. So Iran didn't control it, but now they do, because they took control of it once we started waging war on them, and that's how they closed it. But now this keeps it in their control instead of marking it as international waters, so they could put tolls at any time. This memorandum does not exclude tolls. It doesn't include a toll policy. So sure, Iran could let the US's oil boats through, but we could be paying them tolls, and there's no set amount for that toll. So if anything, we're worse off. This deal has put us in a worse place than before the start of this war. Yeah, it's not good. But then Trump has the audacity to push the notion that we won, when no, this is basically a surrender. Now, I do want to acknowledge the fact that starting this war in the first place was the original sin, but now that we were losing, in that Iran was holding all the cards because we completely underestimated their military power, they now hold all of the cards and we aren't striking them. It's very interesting. Basically, we're screwed. I hate to use that sort of language, but we are screwed. So how it seems is we're going to end up paying $300 billion in a reconstruction fund, because I highly doubt the surrounding nations that have all been attacked by Iran because we waged this war against Iran will pay them. We're releasing all sanctions. We're giving them $100 billion in their frozen assets. They're saying that they won't develop nuclear weapons, which they were saying before the war. This isn't good. Needless to say, this is not good whatsoever. Let's see what Trump has to say about this.
A wise man once said in January of 2020, Iran never won a war, but never lost a negotiation. That wise man.
Who said that?
Donald Trump.
Oh, that's what I thought you were going to say.
So how do you go back to the United States and convince a skeptical American public that this deal is a
look,
win?
Here they lost militarily, okay? It's very tough because
just the Navy.
I know that no matter what,
we've only destroyed their Navy. We haven't done anything else. Sure, we killed their supreme leader, but now a more radical one is in power. So I don't really see how we've destroyed them entirely.
No matter what, if I would go, by the way, if I'd go another 3 or 4 weeks, those same people that are critical would say, he went too long, he should have done, no matter what. If they raised the white flag of surrender, and if they said, praise be to Allah, Donald Trump is the greatest president ever. We totally concede. We totally give up. This war is over. Iran had a great victory. Knocked out their last ship. They had 159 ships. When we knocked out the last ship, the Times refused to do a story on it. They said, why wouldn't you? They don't have a Navy, and you don't want to do a story on it. They don't have an Air Force. You don't want to do a story. We need a fair press. And that's why they're all doing so badly, because they lost credibility. 93% bad press. They take good stories about me and make them bad. But the only reason that happened is because they have so little, the media has so little credibility that the people voted for me. 93% of the stories on network, ABC is horrible. I think ABC is the worst. NBC is terrible. And CBS is terrible. The CNN, obviously. And I never get good stories, no matter what I do. I could do the greatest thing. I won't get good stories on this. I'll get it from fair media. I'll get it from all over the world. They're running good. But no matter what I do, I'm going to get bad press. I know that. Now, if I did the opposite, if I went out and continued to bomb them for another 4, just bomb the hell out of them, I'd get bad press on that. No, there's nothing. If we keep bombing, those ships won't be going. And you're talking about $500, $600, $700 million a day. It's a lot of money. A lot of money. That's why the world is okay. It's liquid. It's fine. Also, we run out of reserves in about 4 weeks. There are reserves all over the world, and we would really run out. And there'll be a time when you wouldn't be able to get it. And you want to see bedlam? So for all those so-called geniuses that want to show me how smart they are, ask them why didn't they blow up General Soleimani? Ask that of the general and a couple of other people that I like very much, but boy, are they wrong.
Okay, so he's basically saying the MOU or not, he would get bad press. Maybe you'll always get bad press because you launched war, Mr. President. Just a thought, just a thought. Maybe don't go start bombing a foreign nation who we already have a deal with and, basically withdraw our agreement and say, our goal is to take out their Navy, out their military, kill the leader, and take out their nuclear capabilities. We haven't taken out their nuclear capabilities. We haven't taken out their leader. We haven't taken out their military. We've only taken out their Navy. Hypothetical situation that, if Iran were to surrender and wave the white flag, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, etc. will say that Iran had a glorious victory when signing of this deal gives them a glorious victory. Yeah. The goal was never to win. The goal was to bomb the hell out of Iran, pull out, make it seem like we won, just so then the Republicans do good in the midterms. We've lost. We've lost. If the goal in the first place was to ever win, which we shouldn't have been in this war. 13 servicemen died for absolutely no reason. 304 are injured, and those are just the numbers the White House is giving us. It's probably way more than that, if we're being honest. Switching gears, this stupid reflecting pool. Oh my gosh, I keep hearing nonstop about this reflecting pool, and I'm so sick of hearing about the reflecting pool. I'm so sick of the fact that the reflecting pool is the main news of the week. So let me just give you a little bit of context. Trump went in front of the press in the Oval Office, I'm pretty sure. He goes, Obama and Biden didn't care about our country because they would not fit the reflecting pool. Now, there are generally major issues with the reflecting pool, algae, all kinds of plumbing issues. It's been leaking. So Trump gave a no-bid contract to his pool guy here down at his Mar-a-Lago club. First of all, a no-bid contract is illegal. The Department of Interior is supposed to allow all of these different companies in the area to bid on this project, and whatever's the lowest obviously wins. So then America saves money, and it's not wasting the taxpayers' money. So his pool guy goes up there. We probably paid for their flights. We probably paid for the transportation of all their equipment. We drain the thing. We clean out all the algae. Instead of fixing the piping issues, we paint it American flag blue, so then it's more reflective. Okay, I will give him the American flag blue thing was quite clever. And it was more reflective until algae started growing again because they didn't fix any of the piping issues. So we're here stuck $14 million in the hole. The Department of Interior came out and said, this is a residual algae issue. Now, let me tell you how algae works, since apparently they think that we're all slow. The only way that algae can grow is if there was previous algae there. So hence, all algae is residual. Saying they're marking this as a win for the press. So once the press started going, there's a crap ton of algae, they send in these robot scraper things along the floor of the reflecting pool. They dump like 8 things of hydrogen peroxide into the reflecting pool, which the hydrogen peroxide that they were using was 0.5. It's meant for a hot tub. This is a 70 million gallon tank, basically. And the sealant that they used on this American flag blue paint peels when exposed to hydrogen peroxide. Seriously? Can we not have the common sense to do a quick Google search here? Can we not have the common sense? So now the American flag blue paint is peeling, and there's chunks of it floating around in the reflecting pool. That's basically all the news. That's at $14 million later, nothing's fixed. It's actually worse now because under that paint, there's nothing. It's just the concrete and the pipes. So we're cooked, literally, financially, and figuratively. That's where I'm going to end it there today. We started on a low note. We didn't go up at all. And then we ended on a low note again. Also, a big thanks to our sponsor, It's Cool to Love America. Patriotism should not be partisan. It's instead bipartisan. The folks at It's Cool to Love America believe that strongly, and you can show your patriotism through your clothing and apparel by going to itscooltoloveamerica.com and use code Cameron to get you 10% off your first order. And for limited time, free shipping. Thank you so much for watching. This is Average American. I am Cameron Rudat, and we will be back next week with an exclusive interview with Bernard Taylor, guy who's running for congressman.